Welcome to Command the Camera.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Command the Camera with Kerry Barrett, an Emmy-winning journalist turned trusted video authority for attorneys and law firms. Kerry shares proven strategies to help you show up with confidence, build trust on screen, and turn your online presence into a powerful business tool. Today, we're going to get into the 5 foundational videos every law firm should have. We're not talking about trendy social media clips. We're talking strategic, evergreen assets that help establish authority and reduce hesitation before a consultation ever happens. So we're going to get into it. It's going to be great as always. Kerry, welcome. Good to see you again.
Thank you. It's good to see you.
What makes a video foundational, and why should every firm have these before producing, I guess, non-foundational content?
It's sort of that ongoing content that they may be putting on different platforms. So a foundational video is one that, you touched on this a little bit a couple of seconds ago. It answers the questions that people have before they ever even reach out to you. And it's one of the things also that can be used for potential clients to vet you. So if you think about what happens when somebody maybe lands on your website or on your LinkedIn profile for the first time, they are vetting you, they're sizing you up, and they want to know, who you are or what you do or how you work, or, whether you feel like someone that they can trust with whatever it is that they're going through. And if the only thing that they find is, a bio that's written probably in third person and maybe a static headshot, they're making that decision about whether they reach out to you with not a lot of information. So foundational videos give them something that they can anchor to. They create that trust before they even pick up the phone, right? And the reason that you build foundational videos before that, weekly content or thought leadership or, whatever's going to be ongoing is because these videos do really the bulk of the heavy lifting for you. And they do it, 24/7, your website, your profile, your Google My Business listing, all that other stuff. It converts attention into action. And that's why they're important.
Let's talk about what would probably be the first foundational video, a personal introduction, say.
Yeah.
What should this communicate beyond, just the basic credentials?
Yeah, I mean, your credentials are important, of course, but they're sort of table stakes at this.
Right.
Every other attorney also has a degree. They also they have a bar admission. The personal introduction video needs to answer this one question that often goes, unspoken by people who are looking for an attorney. And the question that goes unspoken is, what is it going to feel like when I work with you? That's the question that every single prospective client is trying to answer when they watch you. So absolutely, you can say your name, you can say your firm, what your practice area is rather, but then I want you should give, people a reason to sort of feel something, why you do this work. Maybe it's a moment in your career that shaped how you show up for clients. Maybe you talk about, this is a good one, what you believe a client deserves from their attorneys. Because when somebody is dealing with, something that's probably one of the worst situations that they've ever gone through. It's a custody battle. Maybe it's a criminal charge. It's some sort of business dispute, something along those lines. They're scared. And what they want to know from that video is that the person who is eventually going to be sitting across the table from them, and hopefully it's you who's listening to this, they want to know that you actually care about them. That's what those videos do.
Yeah, interesting how you're talking about something that works on there's the content and then there's kind of the meta content, the vibe, for lack of a better word, that's the facts are there. They've got a law degree, but there's something about this person that I feel connected.
Yeah.
With.
And you bring up a really good point, and I should sort of underscore this because, you see a lot of attorney like headshots, for example, and a lot of them, a good majority of them look, fairly stern. It's the persona that you need to put on, and you don't have to be warm and fuzzy in a video if that's not your persona. You can be direct. You can be intense to a degree. You can also be calm, you can be measured. Whatever your actual energy is, that's what should come through. Because if you're trying to be a different person, then that video is like a bait and switch, and you're going to
Mhm.
bring the wrong people to you, and they're not going to have the experience they expected in that consult, which probably means they're not going to hire you.
Let's say, okay, so you've done your foundational first video, the introductory. What would be a second one that you would advise someone to produce?
Yeah, the second one that I think is key is sort of explaining your practice area, giving an overview. So in this particular type of video, you're really focused on clarity and you're focused on positioning. So this particular video needs to do one thing, and it needs to do it very well. It needs to tell somebody exactly what you handle and who you handle it for. It sounds very simple, but a lot of attorneys get it wrong because they try and cover every single thing. So they list they're comprehensive. They list, 12 practice areas in 90 seconds, and your viewer walks away remembering not a single one of them. So, in this particular kind of video, you want to pick your primary area. If you practice family law, say, I practice family law. Then you have an opportunity to dive a little bit deeper to get a little bit more specific. So, maybe you focus on high net worth divorce, or maybe it is, again, under this umbrella of family law, maybe it is custody modifications or collaborative divorce. The more specific you are at that second level, the more the right person feels like you're talking directly to them. So that clarity element is really a positioning tool. When you say, right, I'm in New Jersey, so I'll use this New Jersey as an example. I focus on custody disputes for dads in New Jersey, right? The father in New Jersey who just got served feel like he found his attorney. Being general is a mistake here. It feels safe, but it's the specificity that builds the trust for people. And you want to deliver it, this is key, in very plain language. There's a tendency because, listen, we all want to feel smart. We all want other people to think we're smart. So you dive into the language of your expertise, otherwise known as legalese or legal jargon in this case. If a prospective client feels like they need a law degree to figure out what the heck you're saying, they're done. So speak in all videos, but this video particularly, speak the way that you'd speak to a friend at dinner.
Yeah, it makes me think about, uh, this is kind of, a marketing process, and the
Mhm.
attorney in doing these, following your advice, ends up kind of vetting the client so that
Yeah,
they're attracting the kind of business that they want. And
sure.
now, and you said, this experience for a lot of people is fraught. We're not dealing with
Mhm.
attorneys all the time, and when we
Mhm.
have to deal with an attorney, usually something is wrong. So I'm curious, as if I'm a person coming and I've seen your second video, now I'm wondering, okay, so what are the brass tacks of working with you, or what do I need to do before I contact you? Do you do a video explaining that kind of a thing? I mean, do you go that far? Would that be a foundational video?
Of course, this is what you call a process explanation video. And you mentioned, right? This is if you're hiring an attorney, you're going through some kind of challenge, and most people have not hired an attorney before, so they don't have experience with this kind of consult. They don't know necessarily what a discovery means. They don't know how long things take or what they're going to be expected to do or what kind of documentation they might need. So that uncertainty creates anxiety, right? And anxiety makes people hesitate. If you're doing a process video, you remove some of that friction, but you remove some of the uncertainty. So you're walking people through what happens from the very moment that they call your office. So what does that first conversation look like? What do you go over? What information, right? I mentioned documents. What stuff do they need? What do they need to have ready? If they do decide to retain you, what happens then? Is there a timeline? And again, I'm going to underscore, you do not need to be comprehensive. You do not need to, cover every single legal nuance. You just need to cover the experience. So you know, um, when somebody sees this and they understand what they can expect during that first call, the barrier to sending that email or picking up the phone drops. It's not completely eliminated, but it drops dramatically because they feel prepared and less intimidated.
So third video, managing, it's kind of a managing of expectations. What's the fourth video in your playbook?
Absolutely. The fourth video is the FAQ, otherwise known as the frequently asked question video. And this is great for clients and potential clients. It also can save the attorney a lot of time as well. So, um, you if you've been doing this for a little while as an attorney, you know the questions. There's probably 5 or 10 that you hear in almost every single initial consultation that you
Yeah.
have. Maybe it's how long will this take, or how much is this going to cost, or what are my chances, or do I have a case? You hear
Sure.
those things on repeat. So the
And
FAQ,
the answer to all of those questions is it
it
depends.
depends. I know, and that's what you kind of need to say. But because if that's what it is, right? That's what it is, and people need to know that. Maybe there's a range, depending
Yeah.
on how long this goes, and I think it could go up to this, 18 months or 3 years or whatever it is.
Typical scenario.
Right, and
Yeah.
here's a typical scenario is a great, it depends, but here's the typical scenario. Um, so the FAQ video, again, the frequently asked questions video, takes all of those conversations and puts them sort of on the record in a public kind of way. And it does two things, right? It saves you time. So if somebody asks that FAQ video before they call, they come into the consult more informed. They're have more realistic expectations, and that means they're probably more likely to move forward. And the second thing, and this is probably even more important than the first, it builds trust. When you answer questions that can be hard and you answer them openly, especially the ones about cost and the ones about timeline, because a lot of firms will dance around those issues. Well, not just firms, a lot of business owners,
Yeah.
will dance around those issues. Um, you're telling your viewer, I don't have anything to hide. I
Yeah.
respect you enough to give you the information before you spend $1. And that's pretty rare. I mentioned they like to dance around that. If you look at a lot of firm websites, they're full of, sort of vague promises. There's a lot of stock photography,
Sure.
right, which allows no connection. And if you're an attorney who sits on camera and you give direct, honest questions, or answers rather, to the questions that people are asking, right, that you immediately stand apart.
Yeah, makes sense. And let's see. So that's we want to get to. I want to get to the fifth.
Yeah.
Not that we've got a few more minutes left. So let's get
Yeah.
into the fifth. So we've gotten we've answered their questions and helped them prepare coming into the office potentially for a more productive consult. What's the fifth video that you'd recommend a firm produce or an attorney produce?
It's the firm differentiation video. And this is
Oh,
basically how you communicate values and approach without exaggerating. So this is the one where a lot of people go wrong because they default to superlatives. We're the most
right.
aggressive, we fight
Yeah.
harder, we're the best in the state, all that stuff. That language really doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot to the people who are watching, because everybody says it. Every single firm says we fight
Yeah.
harder, we're the best in the state, blah, 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 blah. So the differentiation video answers the question of, why do your clients stay with you? Not why you think you're great, why your actual clients would recommend you to a friend. So maybe it's responsiveness, or it's your approach, your collaborative, right? Maybe it's the way your team is structured, right? Every client works directly with a senior attorney, or whatever the case may be. You're grounding this in something that's real and something observable. So you're saying what you actually do differently, and then you're letting your viewer decide whether that matters to them. This is a very authentic video, and that's what makes it the differentiator between you and your competitors, right? You're describing rather your values in very concrete, specific terms. Right? And when you do that, people believe you.
Seems like obvious stuff, but I mean, it's really, uh, it's simple, but it's not easy, right? I mean, in terms of like to create this kind of content, I mean, it ends up, if I'm the attorney, I end up having my first face-to-face with clients who are already have a ton of questions answered. They feel already connected to me. They, it seems like a pretty powerful uh, package to put together. I'm curious, real brief before we sign off, am I putting these videos on my website or is it a social media thing? I mean, I guess it depends on the firm and how they interact.
Yeah, there is a best practice here. And most, these videos, these 5 videos anyway, your website is home base for them. So, the introduction is maybe on your about page, the practice area overview is on your services page, the process video is on your, what to expect or how we work page. FAQs are usually a standalone page, right?
Yeah.
They're their own page, or potentially they could be embedded in a relevant service page. Now, the differentiation video is either on your homepage or on your about page. Now, beyond your website, yes, YouTube, LinkedIn, your Google business profile, YouTube, because it's a huge search engine, LinkedIn, because it's where professional credibility is grown online, and Google business, because that's usually what somebody sees first when they Google your firm. But your website, home base.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, there's certainly no shortage of platforms. So that sounds to me like another episode. So thanks, Kerry. Super, super interesting as always.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Command the Camera with Kerry Barrett. Remember, foundational videos aren't about producing more content. They're about building the right content. And so with these 5 pieces, your online presence stops feeling scattered and starts working for you strategically. I'm Sean O'Connor. If you like this episode, be sure to leave a review, like it, follow it, share it with friends, share it with colleagues. And until next time, we'll see you later.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.